But, you know, this film, Florida Project, which is really amazing, is part of a larger trend that I first noticed about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think I called it at that time the exhaustion of narrative, because we see so much plot, so much narrative in our lives, and you know, hour upon hour upon hour, that we're growing tired of it. And so we're much more open now to things that amble and that are anecdotal because they feel more real. We're so tired of seeing those rusty gears of the 3-act structure crank, and you start to say, oh, okay, rising action, falling action, boom, boom, boom. You know, Robert McKee has done none of us any favors. And so you saw it with Dunkirk, which is a big historical action piece, but it's done anecdotally. And you saw it with Detroit, which is, you know, meanders. And see it here. And I think that audiences find this more interesting than that heavy plotted stuff that we used to have 25 years ago. I don't know if you agree with that, but so many things, the pedophile and the birds, you know, you just keep telling the audience, you know, here's a traditional plot point. Here's a pedophile who's creeping on these kids, and we're never going to see him again. Right. And you know, the act of creation, when two things hit, you know, when they spark off each other, and often they're opposites. And one thing that was going on here was direct cinema. This whole idea of just direct cinema was the original name for cinema verite, this kind of documentary realism. And then the other, as Sean has said, is the Little Rascals tradition, which is entirely a sort of anti-documentary tradition. And putting the two together then was the spark that makes this film feel so original and fresh. So Raoul Cotard, it was the first two words that came to our mind while watching this. You know who Raoul Cotard is? This is Contempt, Godard's cinematographer.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay, sorry.
The bright colors.
Yes.
Bang, bang.
Yes.
You know, this is really like a Raoul Cotard kind of palette.
Yeah.
Now, this film and the previous one, Tangerine, most striking for this extraordinary sense of casting. Willem is in this film as a sort of token representative of the acting community. Willem's a friend, and I ran into him after he had done your film. I said, how'd it go? He said, kids, you know, that director, he thought that, it would be all right, but, you know, the kids, you never know what to expect. And then I ran into him like 6 months later, and he had seen the film. He said, wow, the film is terrific. But I guess his patience was worn pretty thin. Yeah. Now, just staying with the kids for a second. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the film that is not repeatable. There's no take two on it. So to do that kind of magical stuff, and because you know that the next time you ask them to do it, it's not going to be the same. Now, moving on to production design, I noticed on the credits that was actually called the Magic Castle. Well, I mean, you painted it, obviously.
No.
It was lavender?
Oh, yes.
Because I assumed that Willem said it cost $20,000 to paint it. I figured that was your sort of comment on the production cost. Wow. And no, because I just assumed that, you had to paint it a lot, though.
Oh, no. No.
But
yes.
Now you portray the Magic Castle as essentially a kind of welfare project place. Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what the reaction is from Magic Castle once people start seeing the film. Then they're going to show up there and say, "We saw your film in the movie." They'll get business from this, and it won't be that honeymoon couple that get the wrong place.